This is Jake from Jake's Board Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the SCI FI 2.0 by Firewire. This is going to be an awesome review. Sit back and enjoy. Jake's Board Reviews! So the board I'm currently holding is a 5.8 and 19/8 by 2 7/16, coming in at 29 litres. And this board has been an interesting selection, to say the least. We have a medium entry rocker and a medium exit rocker. So this is going to allow for great paddling and kind of versatile with your 1 to 5 foot. But I'd say this board's more suited to your 2 to 6 foot range. That quad channel really helps you grip into the wave, like have a bit more bite. I felt this board went better on a beach break as opposed to a point break. The difference is made to the SCI FI 2.0 as opposed to the first one they released a few years ago. They've kind of pulled in the tail to allow it to perform better in bigger waves. What the first SCI FI had was a longer tail, so it was more of a groveler, where this is kind of just above your groveler. It's kind of similar to if Raging Bull and then in the JS franchise, and then you have your Bullseye. So the Bullseye is like a 1 to 4 foot board, and the Raging Bull would be more the 2 to 6 foot. So that's kind of what they went for. They just wanted this board to perform better in bigger waves. I couldn't really dial in a good fin set for this board that completely worked for me. And then we'll talk about fins. So first session, I demoed this board at our local shop, Surf Action in Byron Bay, and they were running an FCS2 system, a Tomo Firewire fin set, which suited the board amazingly. And after the first surf, I thought this was the board to go, the magic board. What ended up happening was, over time, when I bought the board, I had a lot of issues with fin setups, and I would highly recommend, if you're looking to buy the board, definitely go a future setup, because I think they have a better range for this board. So the fins I chose, I should say. I started with the Performers, then gravitated towards the Reactors, and they still didn't feel great. But then I landed back on the Accelerators, which I talked about in my last review with the Monster Box, and they felt good, but I'll definitely say that the Performers felt the best in this board. Alright, so the positives. Good paddler, good performance in the pocket, great long drawn out turns you can get from cutbacks and carves, and I think a couple of my mates would say themselves that they saw some of the best surfing I've ever done on this board. I didn't really feel that way on some days, but there were some days where I felt like I was almost like a semi-pro, even though I'm not. Okay, so the sessions I had on this board were relatively super fun. One super fun day out at a 3 foot beachy, and I think the board performs amazingly in steeper sections. Even though it isn't a groveler, it can grovel quite well. From about 1.5 foot upwards, but I definitely wouldn't surf it if you're going 1 to 3 foot. I'd surf it more around your 2.5 to 4 foot. That's your sweet spot for this board. An epoxy is really durable and tough, so for anyone that's not a super avid surfer from let's say kind of 2 to 6 foot, you don't like to push your range, it's great. My mate got bitten by a mosquito. And I definitely find that epoxies, even if it's onshore, it's great from 2 to 3 foot, but as soon as you get it over that, it'll just kind of skip out on you. So that's a big problem I find. I would love to see Firewire, so I'm talking to you guys at SCI FI, to make this board in a PU. I think this would be an unbelievable board in a PU construction. So let's talk about the stringer. So it's got this carbon stringer, and this is the Firewire do this thing. It's called the LFT construction, and Tomo came up with this design, who's actually from 15 minutes up the road. He's a great shaper, and I think he's definitely got this board down pat. Durability wise, the thing's really tough. I remember coming off a 5 foot set and just jumping and just planting my foot with my heel right into the board like that, and the board just doesn't seem to take crap, is the word. It's super durable, so that's awesome about it. If I was to go it again, I'd definitely go in a 5.7, because I felt like the rails were a bit too boxy for my likings. I think over time, if you start surfing epoxy a bit more, you find it either suits you or it doesn't. So consider that before you buy this board. Are you willing to spend $1,080, or would you go a PU board for $700? That's going to be more reliable and more conditions. We have another review coming soon on the DX1 by DHD, and I think that's going to be an interesting one, so stay tuned. It might be a quick one, but we'll see. Thanks for watching. Board Reviews.